you are. Oh, and you got the Tiger King on there.
Me and Joe Exotic hanging out. Oh.
Now you have to turn your phone off.
Oh.
Because it's echoing.
I know.
Sounds like we're going into the Twilight Zone.
Well, I am God, so it does that sometimes.
Oh, speaking of everyone, what's your favorite Twilight Zone episode?
I've never seen it.
I have too many.
What? Oh, canceled.
I know. Well, I grew up in the UK, so I missed a lot. Like mostly Sunshine, but also the Twilight Zone.
You know what's fucked up? When I went out there, my buddy says, "Look, man, it's always cloudy. Bring a jacket." Do you know that it not one day was under 84 degrees for 15 days? And he told me, he goes, "This is fucking crazy, man. It's never like this."
84? No. How much is 84 in like real temperature?
84.
84 is like 25, maybe.
Wow, that's
Celsius.
Yeah, that's
in real temperature.
Yeah. In real temperature, right?
Oh, you mean the way that the rest of the world temperature?
Yeah,
which is perfectly fair. I don't know why America has to be an asshole about it.
It makes no sense.
Oh yeah, because 16 stone just makes all of the sense in the world, right?
I know, right? You just have to do 16 times 14 in your head, and then it's ridiculous. But
so Camila, this is Jose. Sorry, before we go on, Jose.
Yeah.
Jose
Hey.
I'm
Jose. Hi.
Partner in the podcasting. Manchita, she's a writer, actress, comedian in Mexico City.
Oh, nice to meet you.
Everybody come in.
It says Andrea. Is that just?
Yeah, that's Manchita is a nickname.
Okay.
And I just found out her mom's part British.
Oh no way.
Yeah.
Does she speak Spanish with a British accent? Because my dad tries to do that, and it's hilarious. It's like the "Como te llama?"
Como te llama?
No. My mother was born in Mexico. Okay. Yes. Yeah.
So here's something crazy, Camila. So I was trying to get another female for the show today, and I was trying to get somebody in Mexico. I hit up two. I have two females. Manchita was one, and one other female. Manchita just so happened to be the one that said, "Yeah, I'll do it." The other person didn't even reply.
Yeah.
I started talking to Manchita, and she goes, "Who else is gonna be on there?" And I said, Camilla Cleese. That's John Cleese's daughter. Show her your tattoo, Manchita. She has a tattoo. Check out this tattoo she has on her arm. Read what it says.
Nobody
expects the Spanish Inquisition.
No.
Oh, damn.
Wait, can you do it again so I can screenshot to show to my dad? Because that's awesome.
Then she shows me your dad's books. Then she shows me all these videos. She's like, "I'm a huge fan." So isn't it
okay,
funny?
So catch me up because I'm behind on here now. So catch me up.
Embarrassing, but I have your father's autobiography like right behind. Yeah.
Oh, you do? I have it right over there. I've never read it, but I started to actually. It was funny. They were flying me to Chicago to interview him in front of like 500 people for one of the book events. And I kept calling his publicist like, "Hey, could you send me a copy of the book so that I can prepare for this?" And they're like, yeah, we'll do it. They never sent one. So finally I'm at the airport and I'm like, God damn it. Like, am I really buying this book right now? Like,
who buys books?
That I am paying my dad money now to go do this. So I buy the book and I realize it's like 500 pages or something. Like,
oh yeah.
And it's only volume 1. It only goes up to like, I think 1970 or something. I'm like, how interesting do you think you are, Dad? I started reading it. Like, obviously the second volume will be better because I'll be in it. But
yeah, you only got to the part where it says, I wish I never had children. And then
the end.
Wait, did I tell you, Cisco, that he does that?
No, he doesn't.
Show? Well, I'm on stage, yeah. And then I'm like, but who else could you underpay to go on the road with you? And I usually shut them up pretty quickly. Or what's my other favorite when he's like, don't ever have children. I'm like, why'd you marry one?
You should say no. One day when he says something like that, take out your phone and say, shut up before I tweet your address.
He'll do it himself. He's so bad on Twitter. It's like, it's amazing because he has like almost 6 million followers or something.
Damn.
And yet like he doesn't really know how Twitter works, which like look, we can all relate, like everyone's parents aren't as good with technology.
Yeah.
But like it's frightening when they have that kind of a following, because like he doesn't know the difference between reply tweet and direct message.
Oh,
I'm not gonna teach him. Like he has to figure that out the hard way, you know. So I'm sure it'll be hilarious whenever it happens. But he actually did once reply to someone with his personal email address and his agent's phone number.
No way.
Yeah.
Publicly.
And thank God I caught it and deleted it. But still, like now he gets all the spam that he deserves for like.
Okay, so catch me up. Who is your father, or maybe like a brief rundown here?
That's what's funny. Like people, I think either totally know him or not at all, because he's super old. He's like, he's 80, but he was in like Pink Panther 2. If you saw that classic with Beyonce, or as he called her, Beyonce. He was like, "Have you heard of someone named Beyonce?" And I was like, "Do you live under a rock?" But like gosh.
Like Pink Panther, like with Peter Sellers and all
Not
that?
the original one, no.
Okay.
The less good one, but I like to remind him of that all the time. Like that's how I introduce him on stage shows. I'm like, "You've seen him in Pink Panther 2, give it up for John Cleese," which he doesn't love. He's also like Monty Python is probably what he's best known for in the US at least, and like
Okay.
Fawlty Towers was a sitcom he did in the UK, and A Fish Called Wanda was like probably his biggest movie. But these
Okay.
are all, you look very young, so like, how old are you?
38.
Okay.
Harry Potter.
Fuck you.
Harry Potter. I don't.
No?
I've never, never heard.
Jose's the kind of guy that'll look 33, 32 till he's about 42. Then he'll look 60 one day.
I've looked
Like I've always I had a friend like that. He was like 48. I'm like, this motherfucker looks 35 and shit, you know, or 34. Then all of a sudden I see the next time, I'm like, God damn, bro, what are you, 70? Like you only aged 1 year, fuck.
he did like the voice in Shrek for the King. A lot of people know him from
What?
that.
Okay.
You
Yeah.
wouldn't recognize him, but his voice is very recognizable. He has sort of a quintessential British accent. Like I hear people on the radio trying to impersonate it all the time. Like, and I'll see in breakdowns for voiceover, you know, they're looking for someone that sounds like John Cleese, basically, which always makes me laugh. Sometimes I wish I was a guy just so I could, like, I can do an impression, but obviously it's not enough. You really do need to be a man, I think, because he's got such a deep voice.
Dang. So acting and voiceovers, and then he's written books
He
or
wrote
volume.
an autobiography. He wrote pretty much everything that he's been in. Like if he's a lead role, you know, as you do. Like if you're gonna write it, you might as well cast yourself in the lead.
Yeah.
And that's how you get to make out with the hot chick too, as you write it. That was A Fish Called Wanda, in a nutshell. But like he wanted to make out with Jamie Lee Curtis. Done. He was never going to play the romantic lead if someone else cast him.
Dude, Jamie Lee Curtis and Trading Places, bro.
Yeah, man. I remember when you introduced me to that, I was like, dude, it's Jamie Lee Curtis and she's smoking.
Yeah, she's rad, and has had an incredible career. I think that was one of her first really big roles, and Kevin Kline was amazing in it too.
Kevin Kline won an Oscar for it.
He did. My dad was nominated for the screenplay, which
For the screenplay, yes.
is like unheard of, you know.
Yeah. And it's used A Fish Called Wanda in screenwriting, like movie screenwriting classes. We study it a lot.
Yeah. It's interesting to hear you say that, because I know. Do you know a guy named Robert McKee?
Yeah, I went to his seminar and we studied. Yeah, we studied A Fish Called Wanda. Yeah.
So this is kind of funny because my dad and I actually took that class, like, and they were. He knows Robert and knew that they were going to be using A Fish Called Wanda as the example, but like in detail he goes through it and they do a lot of analysis, and it was funny because sometimes he would lean over to me and be like, I have no idea what he's saying. Like, because you know, in schools, they tend to overanalyze like every little detail. And like there's a scene during the bank robbery where like I think Kevin Kline puts an apple on a guy's head and then like they keep robbing the bank and they leave and like nothing ever happens. The guy's just standing there with an apple on his head and they spent like 20 minutes discussing why that, like what it symbolized and why they did that. And my dad's like, we just forgot. Like we have no, it was totally just like.
For the continuity, we just left it there.
Yeah, like,
but like if you've watched enough Python, you understand that it doesn't really mean anything.
Like my dad's attention span and mine, I mean, it runs in the family, but I think, yeah, it's a brilliantly done movie. We're actually adapting it as a Broadway musical right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's been a really fun project because it's such a good script to begin with. It's like not a difficult.
You're writing in the adaptation for Broadway?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I mean, not the music and the songs like that.
But the plot and the adaptation.
Yeah, but the book for the musical, yeah, minus the musical part. Because my dad is the one person that's been in a Broadway musical that wasn't allowed to sing. Like that's how unmusical. Even in the credits, they were like, "John, you're singing. Shut up."
I don't all this like the writing stuff. I know nothing about, man. I mean, I know how to write a script, but like when people start like throwing me I'm the street smart writer.
Right.
Like I'm not the book smart writer. Like I don't know shit about like, you know, like.
I know what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah.
Yeah, like, because I learned from my dad. I was very fortunate to have a great personal tutor. But you want to hear something funny? The other day we're in a meeting. We're rewriting a script with a really great guy that he hasn't done much comedy before, so they wanted to bring in some comedians, and he started talking about that, you know, the act break into two, or you know they talk about acts. My dad was like, I'm sorry, what's that? Like he has no idea what first act, second act, third, all that structural stuff that they teach you in school. He has no clue. I don't really know. Like I've picked it up because I've had to when I'm working for other people, because they talk about it all the time, and especially executives that they go by this format. But
save the cat.
It's interesting. It's like if you have an inherent ability to tell a story, I think you understand how to structure a story, and you don't necessarily need that.
It's funny you mentioned Save the Cat, because I got that book because Fran Evia recommended it to me.
That's a good book.
So I can learn more about writing. So obviously I haven't read it if it's in there. Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3. Obviously I didn't finish reading it.
Honestly, it's very simple. It's very concise, and it really helps you sell a pitch, because since it's just a beat sheet, and you know exactly what's going to happen next in the movie, and it's very simple to make.
It's universal. It's sort of like a very, but you don't have to.
It's Aristotle. I mean, they're not inventing anything. It's Aristotle, but they're putting it in very like layman terms, and it works very well.
And the book is this long, which for people.
Yeah,
like
as opposed to your father's autobiography.
Yeah, exactly. Like
I think I got a 2-for-1 deal, because there's a Save the Cat and then there's a one after.
I think there is an updated version, which I haven't ever seen, but the thing I like about the Save the Cat is like the beat sheet, like just to have something as like a guide for approximately what page you want to be on. And like I never take it like too seriously, because I think sometimes creativity can be stifled by like following it too closely, and I think that's why sometimes art schools can have like, I mean, maybe I'm just justifying why I didn't go to like finish college, but sometimes they create these formulas to teach you, I think, so that they have more value. Maybe.
You know, it's funny because the dude who wrote Save the Cat needs to give me some money, because like I haven't finished reading it, but like people say, I want to write a movie. Get the book, Save the Cat, dude. Just get that book, man. It'll help you. Is it good? Yeah, it's fucking great.
It is a very useful tool, especially if you've never written a feature before, but it's pretty specific to like that sort of 90-minute comedy. I mean, I'm sure it works for drama, but I don't write drama. I've tried, but it always winds up just being really dark comedy. So
And it also works for sitcom. The way I've used it is that if you're writing a series, you divide it by episodes. Like you divide the beat sheet per episode.
that's really
So that, yeah, it works. It really helps, like drawing a narrative line from from pilot to finale. So
that's really
it's very
smart.
useful. It's a very good tool. Yeah.
I like that. I'll have to, because I've been doing more TV. Oh, is that a doggy?
Yeah.
Mine is floating.
Yeah, a dog and a cat, Manchita?
I have a dog and 2 cats.
Jesus.
I'm that single.
Oh, well, my cat died, so
I'm so sorry.
No, it was like 2 years ago. Oh, hi, cutie pie. Where is my dog? Herky. If you like my amazing pet names, his name is Hercules. Come here.
Oh yeah, he looks. What did he say? What did we say he looked like the other day? He looks like a.
Someone said Joe Exotic, which is why I pulled that up. And now I can't let him sleep in my bed, which is unfortunate. But hang on.
He looks. It's a weird mix. I can't remember. What did you say? What kind of breed was it?
He is, I think, a piglet chihuahua mix.
Piglet Chihuahua.
Wow.
Like a Chihuahua Choloscuincle.
Yeah, he looks like a Chihuahua and like a. Well,
Is it
like
a Choloscuincle
Yeah,
with,
he looks Mexican. Yeah.
like a Choloscuincle with hair?
I think
know.
he might be like a Scottish Terrier and Chihuahua mix.
Yeah.
Like, I would say he's a Scottish Chihuahua.
And he.
He
and
looks
he's
more like a Yorkie and a Chihuahua, something like that, maybe.
Yeah.
There you go. He's an albino Chihuahua, Scottish Terrier. There you go.
He's a little love bug. I got lucky with this one. I've never had a little dog until him, and he's just the funniest. He can't turn right. I know. He's not.
So he does a 270 every time.
Like Zoolander.
Like exactly, like Zoolander. And he's the sweetest little boy, but someone threw him out a second-story window when he was a pup.
No.
Can you believe, like, how do you do that to something that cute and innocent?
I mean, yeah, if you're going to throw it out 5th story, say it dies. Put it out as misery.
Or a baby.
I'm just kidding.
You know, that would be...
Look at Manchita's face.
Yeah, like if you throw out the baby, look, so you can, I can get behind that. Like all the money that you're gonna save.
Yeah. That's even better than my joke. Yeah, plus like babies cry like really loud, and sometimes you can't make them stop. Like,
and you have to pay for their college and housing.
Well, not if they're me, but yeah, I mean,
they live a very long time.
I did go to college occasionally.
So listen. So right now you're traveling. You travel with your dad. So what are the?
Not right now.
Not right now. So right now you're not traveling.
No, but he doesn't live here, but he got stuck here for quarantine. He was supposed to, like, we did a week-long tour on the East Coast, and then he had like a week or two to kill before Comic-Con in Kansas City. So he was just hanging out here, and then he was supposed to go from there to China. Whoops. So obviously that didn't happen. And he's been here. It's been really nice to spend that time with him, but he also, you know, technologically, it's been. So I was staying at the hotel for him, like basically, like so I could be an IT person.
To avoid him tweeting his personal address.
Yeah, exactly. Well, do you guys know Cameo, that app?
Yeah.
No.
It's like celebrities put themselves on there, and you can set your own price and like.
Oh yeah, and they advertise your stuff or whatever.
Not
or they send you like a personal message.
Yeah, they'll do a shout out, like he says happy birthday, happy Father's Day, like, and he goes above and beyond. Like he definitely, some people do like 45 seconds. He'll do like 3-minute videos to people and whatever.
Nice.
To say within reason. People do try and get him to do like sneaky ways of advertising, plugging products and stuff, and I'm always like, don't do this one, Dad. I'm like, have them call your agent, because they're just trying to get a cheap ad basically out of this. Like, it's a very Look, it's a smart thing to try. I'm not gonna lie, but it's got a few more zeros on the end if you want him to do a commercial for sure. So
Makes sense now. No wonder I was seeing a lot of local high schools.
Yeah.
And they had Will Ferrell coming on saying, "Hey, I want to say congratulations to the graduating class of Bell High School."
That's exactly it. Yeah.
And I'm like, now that you're saying that, I'm like, and I was wondering, how the fuck did they get Will Ferrell to do that for their high school?
Oh, because a check cleared.
And now, yeah.
Yeah.
And now I know. Now I know how they did it.
It's one thing to be like saying congratulate, like any of the COVID related stuff, like he's done a lot of shout outs for like hospital workers, and obviously those are pro bono, like he wants to be supportive. But it's the ones where they basically send a script that's like,
yeah,
you know, ShamWow, the most effective cleaning product. And I'm like, oh, have them call CAA. Like,
shout out to David, man. Come on, David. If you survived herpes and HIV, you can live through COVID. Let's go. Fight, buddy.
Oh, Herky's sleepy pants. Little puppy dog.
So I was telling Cisco, I'm like, with my parents, with their cell phones, I don't know, maybe with your dad, like, I don't know how many, if you've noticed how many like windows they have open, like for pages. And so every time, like my dad's like, oh, pues, ¿qué está pasando con mi teléfono? What's going on with my phone? What's going on with this? And I go like 87 windows and like dating sites and other stuff. And I'm like, why do you have 87 windows open? I'm like, you gotta like close all these.
Damn, dating sites? That's crazy.
The story of my life, by the way, because my dad will be like, my computer's broken. Can you come fix it? And I go up to his room and like, we literally bought the laptop 2 months ago. So I'm like, it's not broken. There's no way. And he'll have every single app along the bottom open and about 700 browser windows.
Holy shit.
And I just have to sit there and like click through, close all of them. And like you said, like there's always stuff that you don't want to see. Like you just like
ShamWow for your penis.
Forget that it's there. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. But it is a trip. Like when he first started the cameos, I'm normally always there to make sure it goes smoothly because like God forbid the Wi-Fi disconnects, like that it's over. You know, that's like the end of the session. But he managed to send 2 where he was like heavy breathing into camera for 13 seconds. Like he's like up against the thing like and just breathing real heavy.
Dude, you gotta put that on TikTok and put a song on it.
I know, I really
dude, that's really so funny. You know, I don't use TikTok, but go ahead.
Yeah, I'm not on TikTok.
My mom uses TikTok.
No.
My mom,
really?
Yes, my mom is obsessed with TikTok.
Does she do the dances? Like, I feel like
no, she's just a lurker. She just like consumes the content. She hasn't done any videos yet, but she's on TikTok and she's on TikTok all day.
That's hilarious.
And she watches recipes and she sends us videos of cats. And I don't know how she finds them because they're not even like the viral ones.
Yeah.
She finds like videos that have like 23 views.
She's finding shit specifically that has no views.
Yes. Like she's gone down that rabbit hole and found that, and that's what she shares. That's a result of 5 hours of lurking on TikTok.
Yeah, my mom's the same.
The coal mine. What was it? The one where all the people got stuck. She just goes down there. That's not even a rabbit hole anymore.
I know, right? Shit, my mom does the same shit. Like her phone. I need you to come over so you can fix my phone. And it's just the same shit. Like Jose was saying, bunch of browser windows open, a bunch of apps open on her phone. It's her phone. I'm like, what the fuck? I got brothers, man. Younger brothers. They probably know more shit than I do. Oh, these kids, man. They don't fucking listen. They don't care. They don't care about me. Then she gives me the guilt trip. And I got to drive
But don't close that window. Keep that window open.
I'm reading that. My mom's good with computers, actually. She learned late in life, but she's very good at it.
Really?
Yeah. My mom, she's really cool. My mom organizes car races for a living.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, she's like in sporting events, like in the rally. Well, the rally is popular not in the US, but yes, in Britain.
Yeah.
The WRC.
What is it? What kind of races?
Yeah, like rally cars, right? Rally car racing.
Oh, rally cars.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what she does for a living. Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Does she upload a lot of her stuff on
66.
YouTube? Oh,
No.
nice. Okay.
So this is kind of amazing. Like this is me and my dad in technology. I had to get him to sign a release for something, so I had the hotel print it and send it up to him. And I'm like, all you got to do is sign the release and send me a photo. This is the photo he sent me. Okay. I don't
Wow,
know.
we're not gonna
I
be
can't see it.
Oh,
Can't
we
see
can
it
see
because
it
of your
because of the green
background.
screen.
we can see Joe Exotic.
I
Oh no, he's
Oh,
holding
he's
the
pointing.
release.
He's pointing at it. He's pointing at the release. Yeah, that's
Well,
hilarious.
technically it's
What?
signed because people love to zoom in on stuff. So
So
yeah,
wait a minute. So he took a picture of himself holding it up.
Smiling,
he took a
pointing
picture of himself and then he
signed
faxed it to you.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he did somehow manage to text it, which was very impressive, but I was crying laughing. I'm like, what do you think a fan wanted a signed release? Like, this isn't like, what is this photo for? Like, just
That's funny.
me up his interpretation of things.
So what? So what? I mean, what's gonna happen? I mean, they're not. I mean, your dad's in California. I'm guessing because you're in California. You keep. But what's gonna happen? Now they're saying they're not gonna. I mean, California's not gonna open. We're looking at 2021, man.
Oh God, really?
I mean,
the whole world is
they're
looking at
closing shit
2021.
again. We're closing shit again. People are not listening, man.
No,
Wait until the 4th of July, like 16 days after the 4th of July, that shit's gonna go down.
yeah.
You think so?
They've already.
I think so,
all
yeah.
the beaches and all the parking lots. They're gonna be patrolling the shit out of that area because, like, that was the thing though. It's like, why is our culture so disrespectful that, like, I read an article where they showed the graphs for Japan, who have far less restrictions, but they're a much more respectful society, especially of their elders in particular. And like they have much lower numbers. There's been like a decrease since the regulations lifted because they all still wear masks out of respect. And like, yet here we are, just like not. It makes me so frustrated.
And it's insane that now in the US, wearing or not wearing a mask is now a political issue.
Yeah.
Like the fact that not wearing a mask is a right-wing bullshit action.
Yeah.
Like that doesn't make any fucking sense. Like that's insane.
Well,
Yeah, like people want to go into stores without a mask, and then they get into fights. There's fights now because they
I've seen the videos.
They don't want to wear their damn mask.
Well, maybe it'll be like natural selection. Who knows? You know, I don't know if.
I mean, if they die, they can't vote.
Yeah.
In November, I mean, do whatever the fuck you want.
Sorry I interrupted you, but did you guys see that picture of the guy protesting in Huntington Beach who was wearing like basically a hazmat suit holding a sign that said "COVID is a lie"? And I'm like, make up your mind. Like, why are you wearing the hazmat suit if it's not real? Like, what are we doing?
But
here?
who's pushing this propaganda to say that COVID is not real? And like, why? This is how stupid people are. Do they not fucking read? Do they not? I mean, like, you just base your fucking ideas off what your political party says. That's like the stupidest shit ever. That's what frustrates me. It's like you're gonna base what you say on what somebody you voted for says, instead of basing it on what you at least like an educated guess.
Right.
Like, like me, I'm not saying I fucking know what's going on, but I read things and I read both sides and I try to make my own conclusion on what is correct and what is not. I don't fucking just base it on like, well, I voted for Hillary and Hillary says, that's the dumbest shit. And that's the biggest problem we have in this country, is that people are separate based on political parties.
And they're unable to talk to each other in a rational, calm manner about politics. Like, I always, when I meet someone that is a big Trump supporter, like, I'll always ask why, and I don't mean it in a rude way. I just want to hear a logical explanation because I have yet to hear one. And I'm curious, like, I want to understand their thinking behind it, because to me it's like, look, do I like any of the candidates? Not particularly, but I think a big part of the problem is that now, especially with social media, like, being a politician is being a celebrity. So now it's attracting like a worse type of person. It's not only people that are maybe power seeking, but people that want to be famous or people that want this celebrity life. and all the lobbying too, like how that ever became legal in the first place is mind-boggling to me. Because
my problem.
That's just bribing.
Yeah, it's bribery. It's legal bribery.
My problem.
And super PACs are just like in bribing in advance.
Yeah.
Like that's exactly what it is. It makes no sense. I love American politics. I'm obsessed with American politics. I feel
it's the best reality TV show.
It's amazing. I feel like I'm in a loveless marriage with Mexican politics, and my porn is American politics. It's insane. I love it. And but it's getting crazier and crazier.
It's starting to remind you of Mexican politics. That's what the problem is.
Only
right?
I feel like that's less funny, like because at least like there may be some corruption in the Mexican government, but
some
corruption is,
I know she got a tap dance on it.
but our corruption is like way worse, and I think more obvious now because like at least the leaders down there seem to be able to make sentences, words together.
That's a bit of a stretch, but yeah.
But more than Trump. I mean, I don't know if you saw, like, someone read a transcription of him calling into a radio show recently.
Yeah.
Did you guys see this?
No.
Oh my God. It's amazing because it is so, like, they ask him a question and the radio host repeatedly tries to, like, rein him in, and he still manages to complete, like, it's
deflect
so
and
I can't even like improvise it because it's so crazy.
And his vocabulary is getting so limited. What I find amazing, and I mean, conspiracy theories, and that's part of the problem with American politics right now, and particularly with voters and Trump's constituents and his followers, that it's a little bit cult-like. Yeah. It's very cult-like because conspiracy theories are very seductive. And one of my favorite ones in like left-wing conspiracy theories are about Trump's dementia, because it is so obvious. Like if you watch a tape of an interview of him in the 90s, he's an idiot, but his vocabulary is much broader than it is right now.
Right.
And I don't know. I don't think he's smart enough, and he's not strategic enough politically to use that kind of language and like to hide his being articulate as to be appealing to voters. I think it really is that he's losing his mind.
Yeah,
I think that's his bait though, because he knows that his target audience are like, I'm going to say it, uneducated, low-income people that are just going to vote. Like when Trump shows up to one of these rallies, it looks like John Bon Jovi, like freaking Great White or Led Zeppelin shows up, and everybody
it looks like a cult leader, and people are like they're blindly in love with.
Yeah, and it's like if you go to a rock concert or any concert, it looks like that. It has like that cult-like, religious-like type feel, and people just buy into it. It's like I gotta buy the merch, I gotta buy the hat, I gotta buy into this, and like, oh, I got more people on board. It's like, oh, well then, now I feel even better. Like I got my chest out. I got, so.
How are you broke and Republican? That's what I don't get. Like these fucking people.
You really think he has your best interest?
Yeah. Going back to what?
Yeah. You don't have a fucking corporation. You don't get no tax breaks. You're the one that's getting fucked.
Yeah.
Yeah. Going back to what Camilla says, like with how the voters, I mean, in my opinion, the way people vote, at least in the United States, and I've said this before, is like they vote on one topic issues, like one issue type things, like, oh, you're pro-abortion or against abortion, like that's what I'm going for. Oh, you're for guns or against guns, that's what I'm voting for. You're for, this or that, like it's like one issue topics that they vote for, and they like ride or die for that one thing.
And that's
where like looking at the bigger picture.
Came in because I don't know if you heard about that whole thing, but the Facebook ads they were running, they were taking such personal data that they knew which issues were important to people, and they were running the ads for Trump like on those specific issues only.
Wow.
It made it much more effective as far as ad placement goes, and I think they went bankrupt now because it's pretty like unethical what they were doing. I don't know the laws well.
No, it was a combination of having Cambridge Analytica stealing data and having Russian bots seeding fake news, and gullible right-wing racist voters who are having exactly the kind of content to justify their bigoted views. It's very effective. It's impressively effective. It's so effective that you can tell that it was not made by Trump's team. Like you
exactly. You're like, the Russians must have been.
Yes, the Russians were involved with that, because the people who are writing Trump's speeches right now are not capable of doing such an effective and pervasive campaign as they ran in 2006.
Well, didn't he just come out and compliment the fact that those Russian trained people were shooting our soldiers? Like Trump
came. The Lincoln Project, which is amazing.
Trump just came out and complimented them.
Dude, it's
that they're doing a great job or some shit like that.
This is getting out of control. This is spinning completely out of control. This news that Putin was training. To nobody's surprise, Putin was paying money to kill American soldiers in Afghan territory. And Trump knew, and everyone fucking knew, but the Lincoln Project, which is a group of Republicans led by George Conway III, which is also insane. He's married to Kellyanne Conway, which makes no sense, but he's leading the anti-Trump Republican group, and they are taping these ads that are very damn dirty. Like, Republicans play dirty.
Oh, yeah.
So it's great that Republicans are now in charge in the...
Sorry.
The Democrats are sneaky dirty.
Yeah, they're sneakier.
They're sneaky.
The Republicans they're just nonchalantly dirty.
The Republicans are in your face dirty.
Unapologetically dirty.
Yeah, like, fuck you. I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want. I'm rich.
Yeah.
You know,
well, even like, what was it, like last week or it was last week when Trump was like putting that one video of the two little babies running at each other or whatever, and it was like, oh, this is what the government, and then Twitter had to put like, okay, misinformation on his tweet, and I was like, oh damn, like this is like
they're one doing of like it a lot. The only ones that are doing it right is Twitter.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
like,
no,
we're not removing this tweet for its historical value.
Yeah.
But be warned that the content in this tweet is fake information.
Yeah, because
it's manipulated information.
Wow.
Yeah, one of the things I love about Twitter is, like I've said this before, is it's no filter, no censorship. It's like freedom of speech. But now it's like the whole people are like, oh well, now you're like boycotting freedom of speech. It's like, no, we're holding people accountable for what they tweeted. Like, I don't care if you tweeted some racist stuff in 2009 or whatever. If it's still there, it's gonna get popped up. Like, that's how a lot of people get, like, canceled cultured out now, because previous things. Yeah. But I'm just glad that they're calling him out on it, though.
Yeah, and it doesn't even involve freedom of speech, because freedom of speech and the First Amendment only says that the government cannot prosecute you and that they cannot put you in jail for the things that you express. It doesn't establish that a private company like Twitter or Apple will not enforce its own privacy policies and user policies on you. If you are Alex Jones and you have a podcast on iTunes and suddenly Apple realizes that you're a Holocaust denier and that you are spreading hate speech, they are in the right of removing you from their platform, because it's a private company. And if Twitter decides to do so, and Facebook should decide to do so, but they're being really, I don't know how to say pusillanime in English.
Yeah.
They're being...
No, you said it perfectly.
I think you said it perfectly. I understood.
So yeah, and they're not doing anything about it. But yeah, it's not censorship if it's not enforced by the government. No. Private companies even have to hold their users responsible. Well, because they're very powerful.
The hypocrisy is the amount of stuff that Trump is not allowing to be released because of he's like, free speech, they should be able to say these things, but oh no, my tax returns, oh no, you can't read this book that they're trying to stop being released.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, the Niece's book, I can't.
Yeah,
I found this the trans.
Oh my goodness! Shout out to the new generation. Like I told Cisco this. Like, I was kind of worried for like the 16 to 28-year-olds like eating the Tide Pods, but like now they're like banding together on TikTok, banding together on Snapchat, and like causing havoc and like throwing off the numbers. I'm like, this is awesome. Like, you guys are like totally like rocking out right now.
You guys, I'm 34. I'm not part of that generation at all.
No. I said like 16 to 28. So okay, so you're in that.
TikTokers, I thought that was amazing how they all reserved seats to that Oklahoma rally.
Yeah, the K-pop, the BTS.
There would be a lot of empty seats. Like the fact that kids did that, I think was great. Like,
oh man, and I love. Oh, go ahead.
One paragraph of this transcription because it really is like the most insane thing I think I've seen so far. Wait, where did it just go? Oh, there it is. So the radio host is asking him about how it has to do with like 70% of white Americans say they trust police, but only 36% of African Americans do. How do you attack that problem? How do you change things? This is how he answers. Well, I think it's a very sad problem. As you know, as a Republican, I'm doing very well with African Americans and with the vote, in polls and everything, especially, I mean, I haven't seen one very recently because you had the plague come in from China, Trump said. So that changed things up, but we had the best economy ever. We have the best numbers for African American on unemployment and unemployment in history. Best home ownership, best everything. We have the best numbers in everything, not only African American, but the African American numbers were great. And then the radio host asked the question again, and he said, oh, wait, did they cut out the really funny part? God damn it.
No, but that's like classic Jose in his toxic relationships with like my ex-girlfriends. I'm like, yeah, but granted, like, didn't I take you out last week? And like, I paid for everything. Like,
I'm pulling great.
Yeah, I'm pulling great. And think about it. Anything I've given you, it's like you can get a pill for, right? So there we go.
What the fuck?
And the closest thing he came to answering was by saying, have to get better at what they're doing. We have to get better. Like, yeah, it's amazing that
I love that. We, they.
Yeah. In Spanish, we call that cantinflear.
Yeah, cantinflear.
That's cantinflear.
Yeah. Yeah, like where they finish talking and they just leave you going like, what the fuck did he just? What the fuck? Like, what? Dude, Cantinflas is fucking genius.
Or the other amazing one was the Sean Hannity thing he just did, the town hall, where like he asked him a question about what's gonna be different next term, and he started saying how experience is a very important thing. I had no experience when I went into the White House, and you're like,
oh yes, I heard this.
I mean, really?
Yes. Oh, dude, it was good.
I like when he refers to black people as the blacks.
Yeah.
I'm great with the blacks.
The blacks,
and Carson's right behind him.
Yeah. Have you seen, like, in his rallies, the people that they plant behind him?
Yes.
Yeah, and then they just give like, okay, we need like a couple of black people because
they're paid actors. They're paid actors.
They put them there and they give them signs that say "Blacks for Trump," and that's like, that African American person did not write that sign. Like, that's not, those are not their words.
Latinos for Trump. They put Black Lives for Trump, Latinos for Trump, all that shit.
I had a radio show in an independent Mexican radio station, internet radio station, that was about American politics. And the name of the podcast was Mexicans for Trump. And so we had the Twitter handle, Mexicans for Trump. And so we started getting a lot of Republican following that they did not understand it was satire. And it was great. They would tag us in a lot of things. And they were like, I don't understand people of color who are for Trump. And somebody would say, well, are you saying that Mexicans for Trump are a bunch of racists as well? And we would just say, like, no, we're satire.
See?
Oh my God, I would love to read the comments on that. You still have that? You still have the page up?
I do. It's on Twitter. I'm not sure. I'll send it to you, but I think it's
Mexicans for Trump. I'm gonna check that out.
There's an amazing compilation, by the way, of not people that have been paid, but like his staff standing behind him when he makes statements, and it's all it is their facial expressions. Like after he says some of the things, like when he says about injecting bleach and like those kinds of things, and like his advisors are standing in the background, like.
Well, Mauricio, I had Mauricio on here, a comedian friend of mine, an actor, and he was arguing with me that he never said that. That he never said about injecting Lysol and bleach and all that shit.
Did you see the interview?
Exactly.
He did talk about the bleach though.
Yeah.
It's there.
He didn't say specifically bleach. I think he said like disinfectant or something, but he did talk
Very
about,
powerful cleaners, like bleach-based cleaners. Yeah. But what he implied was that you can inject bleach.
Remember, he said, "I'll give $5,000 if you can show me proof that he said that."
oh, I'll send you the video.
Oh, we about to come up.
Do you have that in writing?
We're about to go halves.
We have it on the internet. The internet's forever.
I wouldn't do that.
No. The $5,000 offer. Do you have that in
Look,
writing?
man, you don't take advantage of a sick friend.
The best too, my dad was so excited, is Fox News. Someone, I think it was at the Seattle or Oregon protests, like someone on Reddit posted something, and it was a direct quote from Monty Python. I'm just looking it up because it's hard even for me.
And would they use it? They use it what, as for an article?
Well, they took it seriously and they ran it as like, this is what they were. Here we go. So it's a quote from, I think it's either The Holy Grail or Life of Brian, but they cited it as being like a fact for what people were protesting for. It said, because someone said, I didn't vote for Raz. I thought we were an autonomous collective, an anarchist, sorry, I don't have glasses on, syndicalist commune at the least. We should take turns to act as a sort of executive officer for the week. But of course, all the decisions that officer, it goes on and on, but it's like this rambling speech made in Monty Python.
The Holy Grail?
Nothing to do. Someone posted as a joke, and Fox News ran it as a story. I think it was one of the high points of my dad's life.
What did your dad say about that?
Oh, he just loved it, that they took that seriously, because they probably didn't Google what a lot of those words meant, or like, you know.
Somebody's ass got fired off of that.
Yeah. Or
should have gotten fired. Because you know, they have people who probably scour the internet looking for shit. They probably said, "Oh, this is a good one.
Right.
Look what I came." Probably felt proud of themselves, like patting themselves on the back, and then like, "You stupid fuck, this is from a movie."
It reminds me almost. I mean, it's not quite as ludicrous, but my all-time favorite YouTube video, which I'm sure you guys saw, where they're reading about there's an Asian airline that crashed, and she reads the list of names of the pilots.
Oh yeah, and it's like they throw some curse words in there, and yeah.
The names that someone had messed them up, like as a joke, but like the fact that she makes it through the whole list of names without ever catching on. The names were like "We Too Low," Bing, like "Ow Ding Bang," like they were horrible. Like,
how did I hear about shit like this?
Yeah, dude, that was so like bad. 3 or 4 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, maybe.
Yeah, I opened for Steve Byrne, and he has a hilarious bit about that whole thing. That's why it's always like it all. But every time I see it, I'm like, how is this news anchor standing? They must be mannequins or something that can talk, because like she kept reading the names. Like one was Holy Fook. How are you gonna not pick up on that?
Holy Fook.
And then they fired the air traffic control people that did it as a joke, and I'm like, well, I hope they got hired as comedy writers. That's all I care about.
Dude, that is fucking classic.
Like, just the fact that she made it all the way through. And of course, people then accused her of being racist. I'm like, the poor woman. Like, you can't say anything, I feel like, anymore. But
oh no, that's one of the things that I was discussing the other day, was that, like, I'm happy that people are being called out for doing shit that they shouldn't have done.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, I mean, what what we're going through in the comedy community with all these allegations of certain comics and shit, and you know, I mean, things are coming to light. You know, I mean, justice is justice, and it will be, hopefully, you know, the right thing will transpire of allegations and shit. Whatever, justice will be served. Whether, I mean, rightfully, whether it's for or against whoever, but I think that they go too far now with every little fucking thing you say is judged. And, oh, what did you mean by that? Oh, you shouldn't be saying that. And, oh, it's like, fuck, man. It's like you can't even fart in the wind anymore.
No.
You get a case.
You really can't.
Like, I was really grossed out by his gas.
Yeah.
I don't agree.
You don't agree?
I don't.
Okay.
This is my controversial opinion.
Okay. Good.
And
I'm fascinated because, like, I think I don't know many comedians who, like, I'm glad people are getting called out. Don't get me wrong, but like the level of political correctness that we're supposed to adhere to now, it's like I'm afraid. Like jokes that I did 5 years ago, I can't do anymore, and they're not racist or anything to begin with. I had one where I said the word racist and people get uncomfortable now. So it's like,
see, that's wrong.
That's not okay. I mean, but I do agree and with the fact that there must be certain like auto censorship, like comedians. The fact that that I mean, we all do comedy because we understand that comedy is an important tool, and that comedy is a powerful way to even impulse social change.
True.
So it either is or isn't. If we're doing satire, because we believe that comedy is a powerful enough medium as to speak truth to power and to change minds and to influence people and society, then we have to stick on that same lane when we say that something that's racist or homophobic or misogynistic or discriminatory or oppressive, then we cannot say that it's just a joke, because it's either one or the other. We have to pick a lane on that. And if we're all agreeing that comedy is powerful and that's the reason why we do it, then we have to be responsible with it. And I do think that comedy has limits. I think it has just one, and that is never punch down.
No.
That's it. Well, and that's it. And honestly, like all the political correctness that a lot of comedians are complaining about right now has to do with that. It's because they're punching down. It's like, dude, your comedy is oppressive. And in Mexico particularly, when people and very famous comics are doing racist comedy and they are doing misogynistic comedy, it's not innocent, because we live in Mexico is a country that has a very important problem with racism, and where 10 women are killed every day in femicides. So it's not innocent. You cannot think that you can get away with doing misogynistic and sexist humor when the reality around you indicates that it's not innocent and that it's not harmless. So and that's the only rule. Don't punch fucking down. That's it.
I think that's such a valid point, what you're saying, like, because I do think comedy can invoke change, and I wholeheartedly believe that. My dad makes a very good point that I think we don't hear enough, which is like most joking is teasing. It's like affectionate teasing. And there's a way to affectionately tease other genders, other sexes. It's when you cross that line, you know, and it's a very fine line, especially right now, don't get me wrong. But he also makes the point, is it not almost more offensive or condescending to think that one race can handle it, whereas another race cannot? Like,
good point.
He would come on stage and say, now I'm going to do racist jokes, and everyone panics. And then he would tell a joke about like, you know, the Swedish or like the French, and nobody gives a fuck. They all laugh. And then he'd be like, do a Mexican joke, and they all panic, right? And the joke that he would say was like, what is it? It's like, there's two guys in a rowboat and the National Guard catch up with them, and they're like, hey, what are you guys doing? And they're like, oh, we're invading America. And the Coast Guard's like, just the two of you? And they're like, no, the rest are already there. Like, it's a stupid joke, but it's like, you guys get offended by that? Like,
no, not
right?
No, because again, it's not punching down.
No.
Because it's not making fun of the immigrants, it's making fun of the National Guard.
It's
so
like,
it's very subtle to detect where the butt of the joke is.
Yeah, it made you think, and so
it's a silly joke, but it's like it's
a good joke.
Like, you know, And it's so hard to explain where that line is because you don't always know, and it changes all the time. It's like this wavy, like completely invisible line that we all have to tiptoe along. Yeah. And because I never want to hurt anyone's feelings, but like now it's like people are so sensitive about certain things. And the funny thing is, it's never the people that the joke is about typically. It's like,
or could take it as being about
performative activists are usually complaining about jokes that are not about them.
It's like people getting offended on other people's behalf, because I feel like there's always people looking to get offended because they need an outlet for their outrage,
virtue signaling, and that
about something, and like so they'll pick something to go after which has nothing to do with them, you know. But
damn, Manchita, I think I have to agree with you. Shit.
Yeah.
I was like, wait a minute, I gotta hear this, what she's saying. But no, I'm with you. I'm with you about punching down. I never like. I think my opinion has always been you could joke about anything, absolutely anything, in good taste. In good taste, I think more, and I don't think Camilla is speaking of that as well. I mean, because I'm sure you agree that there's comics who are mean with their jokes. That you could tell there's meanness to them. And you're like, man, fuck, it's not even funny.
Or not even meanness, just the shock value. Like we all...
the shock value.
We all gone on stage and got a joke that people are laughing because they're nervous and they're uncomfortable. And that is very satisfying. But also, it's very easy to get. That's a very easy joke to write. That's a very easy joke to perform. So yeah, punching down is petty and it's not that funny. People laugh because they're uncomfortable, not because they're really enjoying the joke. I'm sorry.
I didn't mean to keep interrupting. I just wanted to add that, like, from an audience member's perspective, I think it's much less enjoyable than like a real laugh, you know?
Yeah.
And they do that a ton with sexual humor and like poop jokes, like gross out stuff, all that kind of shock value, and that drives me crazy because it's just lazy I think.
But the reality, absolutely. But here I'm gonna play devil's advocate also but with that. On the other hand, though, wouldn't you say that then it's not about complaining about it, but maybe we should just stop supporting that, going to watch it? And just say, fuck it, because you can drive them out of the business like that. I mean, if there's a group of people who enjoy that humor, it's their freedom to enjoy that humor.
Absolutely.
I mean, I don't have to go see it, but I don't have to, I just, if I see you do a show and I don't like what you say, I just won't fucking go watch you again. I mean, if I see you, if you're selling tickets and I go watch you again, knowing the shit you say, then that's on me to go fucking, why am I here watching it again? I mean, there's that side of the coin too.
And you're totally right. I think it's just it's the lowest common denominator comedy in my book, at least, because look, if anything is funny enough and clever enough to warrant going there, I kind of don't mind. Like, my dad does some shit about having children that it's borderline mean, but it's funny. So I let it go, but I'm also a comedian, and so I expect to get made fun of. Like, I've never been a big fan of roasts for that reason, because, like, if it's a roast battle, I don't mind as much, because then it's like they've chosen to be there, they're going tit for tat. But, like, I don't really like watching one person get roasted by all these people that take it a little too far.
Even Trump?
Well, that's different.
I was waiting.
And the roast is probably my favorite genre of stand-up comedy.
I think if it's done really well, but there's always a couple of things, like when they pick on the family members who didn't sign up for it, or like
or their kids or something. Yeah. I mean, I feel the same way, like with certain comics. It's like, okay, they started off maybe in the 80s or the 90s, and then like, okay, as you get older, you unlearn certain things or you mature. And so you're not going to say the same jokes, right? Like the Beastie Boys, when they first came out, they had like giant penises and, they were misogynistic and this and that. And then, later on, like they're all like free to bed, empowered to women, everything. So they evolved, so I think the same thing should be with comedians or anybody who's like a storyteller or someone who has that type of audience, like a Dave Chappelle. Yeah. I'm going to love to see him and Joe Rogan talk about crack and this and that. But now his point of view has totally changed because the current political climate. Like, he knows his platform. He knows that, okay, I can't be doing like the bitch jokes or, selling drugs to the baby joke or this and that. Because right now at this time, this is what is needed from me.
Right.
Victim blaming material.
Sorry?
I'm sorry?
Dave Chappelle is still doing victim blaming material.
Yeah.
Particularly blaming women that were victims of sexual predators. He's doing that, and it's weird that he doesn't see the irony of a comic that has been doing comedy as to defend a group of oppressed people, and now he's doing oppressive comedy.
But you know why he does that? Because I've been around him. You know why he does? I was there one day. He bumped my ass at the Comedy Store. And
I didn't mean to laugh at that.
That was fucked up. No, I mean, whatever, I mean, dude, it's funny because we're having a conversation, and I don't know why, but the subject came up of Chiapas, and I told him, or I had read something about Chiapas that 60% or something like that of the country's like electricity came from like thermal or hydroelectric. I guess they have a shitload of waterfalls and stuff, and a lot of machines that run off of that and run power. And I said, and I had read somewhere like, I don't know if it was 60, maybe 40 to 60% of the country's electricity or region was from there, but that 70% of its inhabitants had no electricity.
What?
But that was fucking, of the state's inhabitants had no electricity. And I was like, what? And he was like, it doesn't surprise me because I said the majority of the state of Chiapas are indigenous peoples.
Yeah.
And he goes, that's racist. He goes, God damn, there's racism in Mexico? Shit, I gotta go there.
Dude, you have no idea the levels of racism, and we've been hiding it behind a curtain of there's no racism in Mexico. It's mostly classism because we're all mestizos. No, we're fucking not mestizos. White Mexicans, we concentrate like an incredible amount of wealth.
Yeah.
And social mobility is impossible for brown people, for indigenous people, and for darker skinned people. It's insane. It's fucking insane, but we don't talk about it.
Hey, but Carlos Slim is not white Mexican.
But he's Lebanese.
Oh, but he's Lebanese. That's an exception?
Yeah, like the only acceptable way in Mexico to be dark skinned if you're Lebanese.
If you're not Mexican.
Or
you're Middle Eastern
Jewish.
Or something.
Yes, Middle Eastern or Jewish. That's like the only.
So anyway, so going back to what Chappelle said, I remember him saying, as he walked on stage, he said, if I go up there and they laugh at everything I say, I'm walking off. He goes, because there's nothing for me to, there's no challenge. There's nothing. So I think a lot of the shit he does is because he's so bored with comedy. I'm just saying. I'm not, it could be that he fucking really believes in shit like that, which I don't think, I doubt. But I think,
I don't know.
I think he pushes the button. He pushes, well, not the button, but he pushes, what do you call it?
The boundary.
The boundary.
The envelope.
Yeah, the envelope, to see how far he can actually go in comedy. I think that's what he does. And he says, look at these motherfuckers. They laugh at this shit. They shouldn't be laughing. Like, really? I think he, in his mind, he's like, they shouldn't be laughing.
That was his whole reason for leaving Comedy Central. Because, like, you guys are laughing a little bit too much at all this minstrel show and, me saying the N-word and the plantation jokes. You're laughing a little bit too much at this.
Well, not only that, but
because most of his fans are white people. Like, right now, I find it amazing how much the alt-right loves Dave Chappelle.
Because they love Clayton Bigsby.
Yeah. And
they love his caricatures. They love,
Yes, they're not getting the satire, and he's giving them arguments to be sexist and to be racist and to be while also being funny, while also giving them a justification. Like, I'm not racist. My favorite comedian is black.
Yeah.
And that's dangerous.
There's a comedian named. Do you know, Camilla? Do you know Jerry Rocha?
Yeah, I know Jerry.
So Jerry you ever heard the joke about his uncle? He says he has an uncle that's so racist that you tell him a racist jokes and he goes, I know. That's what I've been trying to tell you.
I love Jerry.
Dude, that's his closer. That's his closer.
It's an amazing joke.
He goes, my uncle's so racist. And you tell him a racist jokes, and he goes, I know! You're preaching to the choir, man! That's what I've been trying.
This is like the perfect time. This is a perfect time to observe everybody. This is like the perfect case study to observe people and be like, okay, you're playing both sides of the fence. You're racist. You're clearly a freaking fascist. You're freaking clearly Antifa. Like, this is the perfect time to just witness everything and point them out, because come after November 4th or whenever we're voting, like it's gonna be out in the open. The stats and everything is gonna come out.
Dude, I remember being in England and being told, you Americans are so hung up on race. I remember them telling me that shit.
You know what? In their defense, I grew up in England, right? I know I sound like this, but it's mostly to piss off my dad. Like, I didn't really know what racism or prejudice was until I moved to America when I was like 12 or something. Because all my friends were so international. Like, it wasn't ever a thing. Like, my dad's assistant, who basically was raising me as a kid, like, because he was working so much, you know, he was a gay man with a boyfriend, and it never crossed my mind that was weird. Like, that's how I was raised over there. And that, when I got to America and my school was completely different, like the white kids hung out together and the black kids hung out together. And like, there was some exceptions to that, but like
sports,
it took a while to like sort of, but it took, yeah, we're not great at sports in England. I guess maybe that's why, but no, it just was, it was something that I didn't learn about until much later, because it wasn't something that was such an issue. I think it's become a lot more so in the past, 10 years, 20 years, whatever. Like,
racist in England?
Well, yeah. I mean, they voted to get out of the European Union mostly for racist reasons.
Yeah. Some did, like, there were so many different reasons that you could vote Brexit or not Brexit. But like, it's interesting. It certainly wasn't as like, in America, I feel like a lot of the racism is like people that are angry with themselves and their lives, and they're looking for someone else to blame. Like, they just want to, like, oh, well, it's because the immigrants took my job and that's why I'm poor, not because I'm lazy and I didn't look for one. Or, do you know what I mean? And
but my thing is this, Camila, is that you can't, I think as a person, you can't say, oh no, man, I'm not racist and I accept everybody. But then when I go to your neighborhood and I look at all your neighbors, they all look like you.
Yeah.
Like, there's no diversity in your neighborhood. How can you say that I accept everybody when you won't? Like, part of the reason you chose that neighborhood, I mean, consciously or subconsciously, is because you felt comfortable, meaning I don't feel comfortable around others. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I think that certainly there's a degree of that. I chose mine so that I could drive less, but I live in LA, so that's like a very normal, like, I just want to drive as little as possible because I spend so much time in my car. But you're 100% right. But like, in a funny way, like, if I'm walking around alone at night, I'm a lot more creeped out if I see like a weird middle-aged white dude than like a bunch of people of different ethnicities, like, because I've had worse experiences with those dudes than I have with anything else.
Yeah,
so have I. No, I'm just
kidding. And it's such a complex issue. Like, it's been really fun talking to you guys about it, because I know one of the great things about comics is like, we're honest and open, and we are not going to get offended easily without thinking something through. And like, I don't get that perspective all the time, because sometimes it's a hard thing to bring up, but like, it's something I want to learn more about, like what actually does feel like racism to you guys versus, look, I'm as white as they come. I know that, like, it's
no, but
I want to understand better. Like,
and where I live,
sorry?
And where I live in Mexico City. In Mexico City, I'm as white as they come.
Yeah.
Like, in Mexico, I'm considered white. If I go to LA or I'm in the...
She's a ginger.
I'm not ginger. I'm not a ginger. But yeah.
No, it's because when I saw you last time, your hair was red. Or like,
Was
I don't
it
know if you dyed it red or something.
Yeah, but I was in character. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I remember.
Oh, good. You don't want to be a ginger in real life.
No.
I mean,
She was married to a ginger, though.
I was briefly, very briefly.
That's funny.
Did you
No,
learn
but yeah.
my dad's autobiography? Sorry. No.
Sorry?
I said, did you learn the brief marriage thing from my dad?
No. From my life. It was very brief.
Guys, when she says your dad really influenced me, he really influenced her.
Yeah.
Even my marriage was brief. Even my marriage was brief.
I'm going after his steps.
No, but you were saying about like.
By the way, I'm taking your word on doing the screenshot because I really want that to happen.
I sent her the picture. No,
you sent her a photo. Okay.
Yeah, the photo you sent me, I sent it to her. I sent it to you, so you have a copy of it. But
sorry, go ahead.
No. Go ahead. Continue what you were going to
say. Like there was a comic. I think when I did the Edinburgh Fringe, he asked me to come on his show, and like before he brought me up, he was like, she's John Cleese's daughter, which first of all sucks in an intro because like the whole room shifts to like, oh really? Oh, you think you're funny just because you're John Cleese's daughter? So I'm already like fighting an uphill battle. But then he goes to show that he has my dad tattooed, like not like a quote. My dad is tattooed on his arm, and
like his face.
Yeah, and I was like, and I think the set, like I couldn't get that image out of my mind because I'm like that's
weird.
Awesome. I love that because especially it's like pertinent to things in your life, and we're comics and all that, but like to have someone's face like in a very like obvious, I was like standing at the microphone. It took me like a minute to talk. And then I don't even remember the set.
Yeah, I would be cautious of anybody with like a tattoo of somebody's face. Like,
yeah,
I just think
no, it's funny because you're used to seeing like people have a tattoo of Hendrix or people have a tattoo of Biggie, but then to have somebody have a tattoo of your dad, like I'm saying, like her dad, like what I'm saying, like yeah, she's like Camila's aware her dad's an actor, he's known and all that, but it's still fucking weird when you see somebody have a fucking tattoo of your dad.
I think it's weird to have anybody's like person, like an actual person tattooed on you. Like,
yeah, but if you've seen somebody with a tattoo of your dad on their arm, wouldn't you feel even more weird?
On their butt would be even weirder. Like,
yes.
Dude, but Monty Python fandom is
crazy.
Like, yeah, sorry.
I mean, not crazy. Like,
I'm so sorry. We're weird people.
But some of them, like, you wouldn't believe the level of, like, they have more childhood photos of me than I do. And I'm like,
holy shit.
Yeah, that's creepy. That's creepy.
Some of it's nice because I'm terrible at keeping track of that stuff. So I have certain people I'll hit up and I'm like, can you send me, like, my life? Thanks. But there's some die-hard, like, that when I have to interview him about Monty Python, which is part of the stage show I do, like I'll get questions. I have to go through the note cards that audience members write questions on to pick out and I'm like, half the time I don't know what they're talking about. Like they're such obscure, because there's so much of it too. There were like 18 DVDs of the TV show plus the 3 movies and like
the live shows and
I mean there's so much, but like it's funny because we show the Holy Grail before I interview him and I still haven't seen it in 10 years because like the best part about the show is that I don't have to be there till 9:30 usually or 9 because it starts at like 7:30 or 8 and they show the movie. So I do a stand-up show somewhere nearby and then I run over to the theater and
that's cool.
Just to mess with the tour manager, even if I am there and I'm ready to go, like I'll hide in the bathroom until like 30 seconds before I have to walk on until he's like panicking, and then I'll go and interview my dad. And I mean, it's a really fun show to do with him, and I just like, how it is with stand-up, like it's like an addiction and like I have to have my own thing too, because otherwise I'm just having to pretend to laugh at his stories night after night after night when
the same stories over and over. Like,
mouth them along with him.
Yeah, it's like Thanksgiving dinner every day.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true. No, man, it's this whole thing in this country, the way we're headed with all these protests and election coming up, fucking economy, the disease. It's just like, people say it's become cliche. It's like a bad dream, man. It's a nightmare.
It makes me wonder if, the whole 2000 thing when everyone thought it was Armageddon, and like maybe whoever came up with that was just dyslexic and they meant
20 years off.
Like, because
the Mayans, remember the Mayans said 2012?
12.
Yeah, on my birthday of all the fucking days.
When's your birthday?
May?
December 21, 2012, remember?
No way.
Yeah, remember they said that?
Well, maybe
I do remember that, yeah.
0, 1, and 2 back then. They hadn't got to 3 yet or something. I don't know, but it's certainly like, it's weird how much stuff too. I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but like outside of COVID, like completely unrelated to COVID, the protests, all of that stuff, how much bad things have happened to people. Like, thankfully I've been lucky, but like, people close to me that have died for completely unrelated reasons, or like just really weird, bad, not fun things happening. And it's really sad. Like, it's hard to, as a comic, like not especially by any means, like I feel very blessed to not have to worry about a lot of the things that other people are having to worry about right now. But like to, I'm prone to depression, and it's hard to see a light at the end of the tunnel right now. It's like, fuck, like, I mean, I thought we were getting better, and then of course you tell Californians that we are, and the first thing they do is like all take off their masks and go hug each other.
Look at Texas and Florida, man.
Yeah. My mom's best friend, she has COVID-19, and her daughter has it, and her ex-husband has it, and the daughter and the dad, they work at a bar because they're in Texas, and so like almost like the whole family has it. And then I was telling my mom, I was like, oh, how's Letty doing? He's like, oh, she's doing a little bit better. Like, this is like she's already had like the 2 weeks already, like from quarantine or whatever, but she still has like some, like, I don't know, symptoms or whatever.
Yeah, you have to be symptoms free.
Yeah, so even after the 2 weeks, she's telling me this. I was like, man, like this is becoming like too real to me, because even my other cousin, his wife's uncle passed away from it, and it's like, it's one of those things where it's like it isn't until you actually know somebody that it's like really affecting you.
Well, my twin brothers had it, and my stepfather had it, so I kind of envy them, because I think like they're done with it. I mean, as far as we know,
we're all gonna get it almost at some
point. Yeah, we are gonna get it. It's like fucking. I mean, unless you're so fortunate that you don't get it, and then there's a vaccine created, and you get the vaccine, and even then they're putting in, and then even then, I don't trust fucking vaccines, man. I'm not anti-vaccines, but I don't trust those shit.
Yeah, no, I don't get the flu shot. I've never gotten a flu shot. Nope.
Well, what happened, Manchita? What? You trust the vaccines?
Yes.
Of course she does. She trusts Philip Morris and Anheuser-Busch over there.
Of course I trust the vaccines. We don't have any polio anymore. Of course I trust the vaccine.
Yeah, we don't have hoof and mouth disease either.
Polio came back. I thought some people caught polio not too long ago.
No. The anti-vaxxer. No, what they're getting is, I don't know how it's said in English. The tosferina.
Tosferina? No sé qué es eso.
Well, it's like an old-timey disease.
Scurvy.
It's like scarlet. It's like scarlet fever, or something like that.
Yeah, it's like
scurvy,
something out of like a Jane Austen novel, like a 19th century novel. They're coming back because people are not vaccinating their children in Beverly Hills. So there's like sarampion. How do you call it?
Measles. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
sarampion.
Like children are dying of sarampion because people refuse to vaccinate their children.
But you don't think that the mercury and the injections has maybe a slight effect on the high population of autism now?
No,
You don't think it has anything to do with it? No.
No, not
It's
at all.
bullshit.
It's absolute bullshit.
Have you seen Jim
absolute bullshit
about that? Because I do love that.
Yeah.
Who's what?
Hannah
Jim
Gatsby
Carrey?
talks about it, and Hannah Gatsby
Oh,
has
Jim Henson?
autism, and she talks about the anti-vaxxer movement, and she has autism, and she talks about how much bullshit that is.
I think a lot of people want to blame someone or something when they have a kid, and I understand that why you would want to.
Yeah.
Like, you're angry and you want a reason or like an outlet for that.
Yeah. Like, what happened? Why does my kid have autism?
Right.
Those fucking vaccines, man.
And I don't think you can put all vaccines in one category. I mean, I'm not a scientist, but they're all different, presumably, right?
But shit, we get like, I think if you, I researched on it. We're getting like 40 more vaccines than they got like 25 years ago.
Yeah, and 25 years ago, people died of things
Yeah.
that they're not dying of right now. Like children were dying of horrible diseases that now we can get vaccinated for. Like we don't get TB anymore.
Yeah, but the FDA on the flip side, not to play devil's advocate, because I definitely believe in vaccines. Like, sure, they may have some negative side effects, but on the whole, they've been very effective. No.
Yeah.
But like the FDA is amazingly corrupt, and that's what scares me.
Yeah.
More. Like the lobbying money that gets things pushed.
Big pharma is a monstrous complex.
Yeah.
Yes,
Well,
but honestly,
free-range eggs. Was it free-range eggs or farm-raised chickens? They all they need is 5 minutes of sun in a little fucking area, and they're a farm-raised chicken.
Exactly, but the FDA, like the heads of the FDA are people that formerly were the heads of Nestle, and fucking, you know, it's crazy that should be allowed. But
they're the ones labeling what organic is,
and they shouldn't be releasing things, you know, like right away. With COVID, it's a little different because we really need a vaccine. But like, for example, like my mom passed away a few years ago. She a decade ago had breast cancer, which she survived fine, but the treatment from the breast cancer gave her leukemia. And like,
whoa,
that's like not something they tell you when they're treating it, you know. And it's like, that's not only leukemia, but a leukemia that's typically only found in juvenile patients. So
I swear I thought you were gonna say in Jews. I was like, what the fuck? I swear I thought that's what you only found in Jew and then Vaniles. Okay.
You know, it's one that's very survivable when you're young and healthy, but like for her, it killed her. And like, that's one of those things where it's like, could that have been prevented? I don't know. I mean, I think breast cancer is very scary, don't get me wrong, but it's isolated at least. When you have leukemia, it's in your blood, so it's everywhere. Like, it's a little cancer of your immune system.
Fucking your bone marrow.
Serious,
yeah.
Dude, that's what I don't trust. That's what I don't like about doctors. I just look, every time you go to the doctor, and like, say if you have something, right? If you have a problem or I have a lump here or whatever, I'm just saying. Thank God I've never had any fucking problems that I had to go, but I've known people and I've gone away. Can you go with me? Whatever. For some reason, people feel safe when I'm there. Like, what the fuck? Are they going to give you good news because I'm there? Whatever. But I'll be there. And I don't like when doctors just say, okay, we're going to try this first. And then we're going to take these and then come back next week. And then we'll see what happens. And if that doesn't work, we'll try something else. I'm like, get the fuck out of here, bro. With all this fucking technology and medicine, we can't figure this shit out right the first place.
Well, a lot of it is because they don't ever know for sure, and they're terrified of being sued, so they give us these really ambiguous answers. Because I sat around the hospital for over a year with my mother every day, and I watched the whole thing go down, and it made me furious.
Fucking A.
Most Western medicine, because they completely neglected the psychological aspect of it. Like, they didn't look after her. She was bipolar, and like they would take her off her bipolar meds because she was having trouble swallowing pills. And I'm like, that is the single most important pill you give her, because if she doesn't take that, her depression, and you know, she's like miserable anyway. Who wouldn't be under those circumstances? But B, like, they the lack of communication between the teams of doctors. It was a teaching hospital, and they would roll through and, like, 8 at a time. You've got infectious disease, oncology, like internists, fucking everything you could imagine, and they'd all run the same tests. And I'm like, no, they just did that. Like, how about you call your buddy? Like, it was like they were trying to make money off it. You could never get a straight answer, and they would give him a drug, and then the side effect from that drug was so bad it required another drug to counter-effect that side effect, and then the drug that they gave him to deal with that side effect was such bad other side effects that they had to put another drug, and it got to the point, I think I counted 17 at one point that she was on.
Damn.
See, that's why it's hard to trust them.
How do you...
That's why it's hard to trust them, because, I mean, because there's that financial aspect of it. That's the reason I have a hard time trusting doctors, man.
There's like a balance. I'm like, how much money can we get out of them while they're still alive?
That's why everyone
like,
needs free healthcare. That's why we need socialism.
And they shouldn't get kickbacks for prescriptions. Like, the opioid crisis is mind-boggling to me. Like,
in Mexico,
so many friends that it's unreal, and it's all because they got prescribed painkillers.
Yeah.
They're dead now, Like,
wait, they got hooked on them?
Yeah, I mean, some of them got hooked on them because they would, like, have a couple beers there to party. Someone gives them a Vicodin, but you can get physically addicted to painkillers in something like 7 days.
Yeah, my buddy, Bad Luck, he had a surgery on his wrist for, like, carpal tunnel. They gave him Vicodin, fucking got hooked on him, ended up on heroin off of Vicodin.
Vicodin,
they're opioids,
you like, your tolerance builds. I know this because 2 of my closest friends are dead because of this. Like,
damn,
your tolerance also goes up so quickly that you need more and more to not get sick, right? And this is even when you're on the legal painkillers. Well, the derivative, like, the underlying chemistry is the same as heroin. So oxys on the street to buy oxy Vicodin, they're all the same shit, just basically. Like, after a while, there's no way you could afford it. I think they go from, like, $30 to $50 a pill on the street or something. And, like, I know people that were taking 50 a day, 20 a day. Like,
he was taking 5 at a time, 5 Vicodins. Yeah. And then he went to the oxys, and then he was smashing them up, smoking them, snorting them.
Smashing up and inject them, and eventually you can't afford them. And heroin is $10 for a dime bag, which they now cut with fentanyl, which is, like, I think 100 or 1,000 times more potent.
Jesus.
And they're cutting it, it's not like a chemist is cutting it. It's a drug dealer. So that, and this is the sickest thing I think I ever heard from one of my friends that passed away, that if someone overdoses, that's the best advertising a dealer can get. Because it means they have strong shit, so all the junkies go running. So they don't give a fuck,
Damn.
It's all, I mean, the fact that Big Pharma, they are starting to pay, but, like, they should be, because they don't have that epidemic in the UK or in Australia. You know why? They don't prescribe those drugs. Like, I had a friend who literally was on a drug that, it has, like, a funny commercial name, but, like, I think it's called oxymorphine. Like,
holy shit.
Damn.
It's literally morphine in a pill, and they're letting people go home with that? Like, what the fuck? Sorry. End of rant. I just...
No, dude, that's not, no, that's fucking...
It's so
I mean...
gnarly.
They don't have that problem in Mexico, do they? Do they? Oxycontin a problem?
No.
It's not,
no,
right?
not really. No, not really. No.
Private, really. Like,
one thing we've always said is, it's funny that here we always say, just go to Tijuana, go to the doctor in Tijuana. It's cheaper, and the doctors are better. Like, they don't have lawsuits for malpractice, do they, for doctors in Mexico?
No, we do, but it's not as pervasive as it is in the US. And yes, the doctors are cheaper here, and they are good doctors, and there's a lot of medical tourism, they call it.
Because UNAM is a really good medical school. UNAM has a really good medical school, right? One of the best, like one of the best.
Well, yeah, it's one of the best, and there's private schools. There's private medicine schools that are also amazing. So there's very good doctors in Mexico,
because
very good surgeons, and very good hospitals, and
And I tell you, because that was one of the things, is that, like, I had people that I knew, they'd be like, fuck that, I'm going down to Mexico. I'm gonna go see a doctor down there, because there, if you need something, a surgery, they do it. They're not fucking scared that they're gonna get sued for not doing the surgery. Or if there's a fairly new procedure, but they think it can save you, you know, even if they're iffy on it, but they can save your life, they think it can save your life, they'll do it. Whereas here in the United States, you gotta sign like fucking 50 pages of paperwork, and that if something happens,
liability.
You know, like,
America's so crazy. It's like we're off the charts compared to other countries. I know a family that had 27 pending lawsuits with people, and it's like there should be a limit. Like you can't. There's no way that many people screwed you over, you know. But it's crazy here, the legal system. It's so batshit crazy. I can't.
There's people that make a living doing that shit.
Oh, totally.
That's all they do is lawsuits.
Yeah, that's what you have the term. Like there's not such a thing here in Mexico as an ambulance chaser.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't. Yeah. That's
and then depending on the case, sometimes it's just cheaper to pay somebody out than to actually take it to trial.
Well, look at LA Unified School District.
Yeah, that's why a lot of cases don't go to court. They just settle.
Well, LA Unified School District, Los Angeles Unified School District, one of the biggest school districts in the world. I think New York City.
It's number one.
Number one, right?
Yeah.
So we're like number two. And LA Unified School District gets sued daily, a new lawsuit every day, because the people know that they will not go to court. They settle.
And that's part of the problem. It's amazing they're allowed to settle, like Weinstein, you know, for cases over like rape allegations.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it sets a price. It's like if you're giving someone that is accusing you of rape and you're settling for $7 million, then that's what it costs.
Yeah.
Like the cost of raping someone is $7 million. Okay.
But they also
and it's
a life sentence to live with, and then the guy gets off free. That seems still fucked up to me.
It's fucked up.
I mean,
it's so fucked up.
$7 million or whatever, like, but that doesn't change the fact that this man should be in fucking prison.
Absolutely, but what's awful about these cases specifically, when a woman is a victim of sexual crime, is that sometimes selling is the best thing that you can do, because you get a sense of justice and you don't expose yourself to the media trial and the whole procedure that it is.
They drag you through the dirt,
yes,
try and humiliate you and make you look like a slut, so that you know they'll dig up anyone you've ever slept with just to portray you as like, well, if she slept with him, why wouldn't she?
But wouldn't she? Yeah, and slut shame you, because that's, you see, it's fucking chilling seeing Alan Dershowitz in the Epstein documentary series on Netflix.
I haven't seen it.
It's escalofriante, así, it's fucking terrifying, así.
Yeah.
Chilling, bone chilling.
Bone chilling. Yeah, it's insane, and you can see Alan Dershowitz saying,
"It's worth watching." Sorry.
Yeah. Well, it is worth watching, and
I want to see it, but I've been like nervous.
Yeah, I didn't want to watch it as well because it's part of like the feel.
Pisses you off. I was watching it, just fucking pissed me off. Like, this motherfucker, are you serious?
Yeah.
Like doing stupid shit like that. Like this is why, you know, this is why a lot of women act with men the way they do.
Yeah.
And men get mad, you know, men get upset. And, you know, and us, the good men, have to suffer. No, I'm just kidding. Like, we have to suffer for it. Like,
the thing is, we have to treat all of you with the same suspicion.
It's like I would tell my wife, you know, like,
because we don't know.
Why do I have to pay for the motherfuckers in your past and shit? Like, that ain't me. You know, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's just what it is.
In a strange way, though, and I'm not saying by any means that it is as bad or as what's the word? Like destructive as like the racism that you see in comedy. But the misogyny, I think, is the most widely.
Oh no, it's bad. It's just as bad. It's just as bad.
Oh, and it's been studied. It's been like deeply academically studied, the correlation between sexist humor and sexual violence.
Yeah.
And there's a very clear connection between one and the other, because the aggressor uses comedy to justify his actions.
Right.
It's very common. Like convicted sexual predators use the structure of sexist comedy as to justify himself. in the way he acted.
Well, I think there must be a strong link between narcissists and sexual predator. Like a lot of them have narcissistic traits, and you know, it's that entitlement. Like, oh,
power.
With you, the power or whatever. And if they're not used to someone saying no, and there is like a degree that I think it can get really complicated, because there's like girls in small towns that have never met someone famous, and like there's a guy who's super famous that comes onto them probably too strongly. I'm not saying the guy is like that it's okay what he did, but like, you know, they'll be the ones that went to their hotel room late at night, which then it becomes like a difficult issue, you know,
because it's a power relation. Like you cannot not obviate that there is a power relationship between a small town girl who's never met anyone famous and consent. There's like 50 shades of no. It's not
right.
Consent is very nuanced and it's very complicated, because there is a lot of like, and you talk to a lot of women, and a lot of us have fucked without wanting to, because it's easier to just get through with it.
Really?
Like, damn.
Yes.
It's like settling a court case or some shit. Damn, that's fucking depressing.
Yes, it's awful, but we don't know how to say no, because because sometimes it's fucking scary to say no.
Yeah, or it's like
or it's unpolite, which is the worst. Like once you're there and you're not sure and you're not comfortable, but you just go with it, because the lengths we go to not seem unpolite are incredible.
That's like ingrained in being a woman.
Yeah.
You know, you're supposed to be nice. You're supposed to.
Is that a common thing?
Oh,
I think most girls, if they wouldn't say it like publicly like we would, but we're comics, so it's different. But like almost every friend I've ever had has, you know, close friends, when we've talked about it, said like, oh, I didn't really want to have sex with him, but it was like, I didn't really know how to like get out of the situation, or like
fuck.
You explained it better, but like
he didn't buy. I was on my period. He didn't go for that.
Well, it's sometimes it's past that point, but it's like, especially when you're young, you know, I didn't have great boundaries, and like I didn't understand as much, and you know, you don't quite, like, you don't know when you're a teenager that like how different men are from women. That was a steep learning curve, you know. So I don't know, I think most women have had at least some degree of that experience there.
Damn, you know what, I never heard that before. And I mean I know guys can come on,
but
I know guys
for someone to say it.
I know guys come on strong, because I've been around dudes that talk about shit like that, you know. They talk about, oh, I was with her and this and that, and they got hot, and then you know I had to convince her or whatever, and I'm like, you had to what? Like that was always in my head, like you had to convince her, but I never like thought about it. I never thought like you had to convince her by fucking making her feel for her fear for her life. Like I never thought that. Well, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that it happened, but it could have. It could have. It's possible. Now that you're mentioning it, that fucking makes me think. You know what I mean? Like it makes me think more about like, holy shit, because that didn't come to my mind. That never came to my mind.
Yeah, what's coming up right now is this whole coercion, like how to lure somebody in, like how to like manipulate somebody into it, like the coercion of it.
When you're vulnerable, like if a girl's, I've definitely had this one where like I'm crying or upset about something, and there's a guy friend around, and they comfort you, and at first you're like, oh my god, they're such a good guy, and then like a couple hours later, sure enough, they're like, and you are vulnerable then, and you're sort of confused because you're like, oh, they care about me, but like I don't know. I think that in itself, like a grown man should understand that if a woman's crying about something, maybe they comfort her, but like that's not the time to try and fuck her for the first time. You know,
I think most grown men, I think, do. Maybe a young guy doesn't differentiate or whatever, but a grown man should. There's no fucking excuse for not knowing the difference between you don't try to fuck somebody while they're fucking crying.
No.
And that's why we talk about it, and that's why humor should reflect this sentiment and not the one of the predator who is like
right.
Normalizing and trivializing using the vulnerability of a woman in order to get into her pants.
Good point.
I think that alcohol is a tricky thing too, because it's like it lowers both people's inhibitions and their ability to read the other person. So like that's my friend who has a good friend that's the police chief in a different state said that like every I think it was every Saturday morning or Friday, over the weekend, like in the morning, he would get like 20 phone calls reporting rapes. And then he would ask them some questions and kind of go through the protocol. And like very, very few ever went further than that because
I'm sure that's like dehumanizing to go through that. I mean, after an experience and then still have to relive it and then validate your experience to somebody that, it's just trying to be neutral or trying to be
I
don't even want to get into painting a picture of how it is reporting sexual crime in a country like Mexico.
My best friend went through it and like I think those of us who saw her go through it would never ever report anything. It's like
damn.
I talked to a lawyer twice in 2 different occasions for 2 different episodes, and both times I gave up before I even pressed charges because of the hell that they paint you. Like like it's your lawyer's job to prepare you for what's coming if you go to a police and to a police station and report the crime and decide to press charges, and it's terrifying. It's discouraging.
And unless you have the physical evidence, like you literally go straight from the rape scene to the doctor and they do a rape kit, and then they have and even then, if there's no bruises, they can say it's consensual. Like it's one word against the next.
Dude, that's crazy because I remember a female in Mexico told me that.
Don't call us females. Please.
A woman in Mexico was talking about that.
Thank you.
And why? Because is that what we refer to like animals?
That sounds like you're tiptoeing.
It's like an incel, like fedora guy kind of.
It's a hip hop song with my females,
No, don't.
No, I remember a woman I met that it was I think she was dating my friend, and she told me that she reported something. And then the fucking cop she reported to started fucking harassing, like following her, like coming to her house. Because she gave her address and everything. Dude started coming to her house. Are you all right? And like, it was just fucking weird. Like, oh, I was just in the neighborhood. Like, I was just in the neighborhood. I wanted to see you're okay. She had to fucking move. She had to move.
This story like blew my mind. And my cousin's girlfriend is an incredible journalist and works with a company who I think they won like Pulitzer or something for the story. And I think Netflix made a series out of it. But basically this girl who reported she'd been raped, someone had broken in, raped her and left. And she told the story, started to press charges. Like she told it again and again. No one believed her because I don't know the details.
She was in the system. She was in a foster home, and she had been a problem child, and she was a teenager, and so nobody would believe her because her credibility.
So she retracted her story, and then they catch a serial rapist who keeps IDs as like trophies, like a lot of them reflect something, and of course he has her ID or her driver's license.
But what they did in that case of that girl, that the first one who reported it and nobody believed her, what they did is that they pressed her into confessing that she had made it up.
Yeah,
exactly. So she confessed to perjury.
But yeah,
and she was convicted with perjury, and she had to she had to live. Yeah. So it was incredibly difficult for her to get a job and to get into college because before she turned 18, she had a perjury charge.
Yeah, I just saw the Netflix about the U.S. gymnast team.
Oh, I haven't seen that yet, but
Oh man, that was bad. Like the one that brought the charges about, forgot her name, and she said, "Fuck it, I want my name on there. Don't put me as Jane Doe. I want my name on there." Like she said, I'm not afraid, because that guy, I guess that doctor was touching all of them.
Yeah.
And like doing like crazy shit.
What they get away with, and there's all this,
dude.
Especially with the kids,
Have you seen it?
The whole what?
Have you seen it?
Not that documentary, but I know a lot about grooming.
The doctor was fingering. Pardon the expression. Was fingering these girls when their parents were in the room. But he knew he would position himself in a way where they would see one hand, but they couldn't see the other hand under the towel.
Oh my God.
So the kids, that's what, I mean, I'm paraphrasing what she said. Right. One of the girls, she said, well, I thought there was nothing wrong because my mom was in the room. So I thought this was just part of the treatment. But anyways, so going back to what you said, Manchita, it was that she said that when she reported it, that they started fucking calling her ex-boyfriends and digging up her past and all that to use it against her.
Yeah.
I was like, damn, that's some dirty shit, man.
Yeah.
They do.
That's fucking dirty.
Unfortunately, there are some cases which have done so much damage for the women that really are victims, because there's women that are scorned, or like maybe they sleep with someone and regret it and they get hurt, and then they accuse a guy of raping them when it wasn't like a real rape, but that's hurt all of the real victims, because now they do that. They don't take it seriously the way that they should. And it's, I mean, like the girl that came out against Aziz Ansari, did you read that article?
No, I did not.
Oh my God.
I didn't read the article, but
I didn't even know about the case.
A bad date. It was an awkward date is what it was.
Oh yeah, I read some of the tweets or whatever.
I mean, first of all, I don't think he could rape a turtle. It's just, sorry, that's not funny even. It's just but
poor turtles.
Manchita's already fucking getting a case. Don't talk about turtles.
I love turtles. Don't get me wrong. But the story that she recounts is there's nothing about it that's she tells him to stop and he stops, and then she goes and gets dressed and leaves. What?
But it's also a very enlightening story about the way that we approach to sex, and the way that we lack erotic language, and the way that we don't know how to say no, and how we are very afraid of being clear in setting boundaries, and it's even though, yes, I agree with you, it's not a story that compares to Louis C.K.'s, or even it's not even close to that, but it's very enlightening in precisely that she did feel that she was being wronged in this awkward date. I believe that the sentiment was real, and that she did feel that way, but it speaks more about the way that we understand consent than of Aziz's intention.
I also think as he did stop, and I read that she got Aziz's phone number while she was at a party with her boyfriend, which makes me a little bit question her character. But it also, I just think that it sort of marginalizes the real things, there's a big difference between a pervert and I'm not even saying Aziz is that. I don't know him. I know very little about him, to be honest, but they're a pervert and a perpetrator are different things. And it's now a guy even Louis, who, not saying what he did was right, but I don't see him so much as a predator, whereas Weinstein was preying on women.
Using his power.
I think everything that I've said pretty much Manchita has explained better than I have. So if you want to take over, but there's
levels of it, and we have to understand that, and we absolutely have to understand that even Harvey Weinstein is not Bill Cosby.
No,
there's levels of it, and yes, Harvey Weinstein was preying on these women, and he was using his power, but but Bill Cosby was using narcotics on these women whom he was also preying on. So it's completely different. Like the thing with sexual aggression is that we also have to understand that it's a spectrum, and that but also referring to some things that, well, it's not as bad. Well, let's say that it's not as yes, we can, and we need language as to identify the difference between harassment and abuse, and like there's we need to have that language, and that's what's amazing about being talking about the Me Too movement so much, and having these conversations among women and with men, and so that people are able to teach that to their children, and that it's spoken about in schools.
Yeah.
And that we're open about a system that permits men to predate on women, and where women are afraid and men get away with it. So it's important that we have the language as to recognize the different levels and the different shades of sexual violence against women, mm-hmm. so that we can recognize exactly how different a situation like Assis's is to Luis, and how that is different to Kevin Spacey, and how that's different to Bill Cosby.
Yeah, no, that's a great point, because there needs to be this conversation. It needs to be uncomfortable. It needs to be direct, because again, I go back to this, like, we got to teach this new generation. They got to like learn or unlearn stuff that's been portrayed for generations. Because, you know, even looking back at old movies or like old TV shows, it's like, oh, wow, like this was just so downplayed or whatever it was. And it's so normalized. And like, no, it's not normal. It's not. And it can't be like a culture of rape, a culture of, you know, masculine toxicity. And yeah.
It's
really... how does a man know? I mean, or what is a I don't want to say how does a man know, because that's stupid, but I'm saying, like, men, what are men doing? Like, how are men coaxing women into coming with them, or, you know, to hang out with them, or like I don't know, like what are these? How are these?
I mean, I can only speak for myself, but fuck it, I'm going to speak for all men in general.
No, I'm just saying, like, no. I'm saying from what they're saying, from their experience or the stories that they've heard. Like, how are these men coaxing women to come hang with them or whatever? Or is it just like a woman just in her, like, she's a nice person and she's like, oh, he's a cool guy, I'm gonna hang with him?
No, yes.
And then these guys just turn into fucking creeps? Is that how it works?
Well,
is that how that happens?
So many different ways. That's the problem. That's why it's like so difficult to define. And I think they certainly need to create more categories of crime that it can be put into, because right now it seems like there's only maybe 3 or 4 boxes that are checked, and it's like,
and the more stories we hear, we will be more able to identify the kind of behavior that this guy that you're hanging out with when you're 19,
and the psychological profile of them, because that's one thing that is almost never talked about from my experience. Like, you read very little about the commonalities between the kinds of guys that do this, like what their personality traits are, and because there's not a profile. That's what's dangerous about it, that it's not really a profile, and these people are like, these men are not monsters. Well, some of them are. If you're a sociopath, you can't do a psychological profile because they're not going to be honest with you. You know.
Yeah. But most of these men that perpetrate in this kind of sexual violence, they're not monsters. They're not narcissists or psychopaths or sociopaths. They're just thought that they are owed something. Yeah. Like the way you are. Yeah.
Like some type of privilege.
I bought you dinner, so yeah. Like.
Yeah. Like the whole idea of the friend zone.
Yeah.
Of like they say, I read a tweet the other day that said, like, you think that the friend zone is cruel? Imagine having your male friend believe you owe him sex.
Yeah.
Like, that's fucked up. Like seeing it on the other side, it's like, yeah, and these people and these men, they're not monsters, they're not sociopaths. That's why it's so prevalent. That's why it happens so much, because it's not just the monsters and the sociopaths, but it's the way that we are bringing up boys as to believe that they are owed sex from women.
Well, and like, look, to be honest, and I hate that I'm even saying this, but there are a certain type of women that have played a big part in perpetuating that, unfortunately. And like,
Yes, because we're all immersed in the system. Yeah.
Worse. And like, these women that are completely capitalizing off sexualizing themselves, but then they complain when they get a dick pic, and you want to be like, they're, that's not really fair, to be honest. Like, but it's such a complicated issue, and I think I'm not sure if this is the exact question you were asking, Jose, but like, I think if you're a man and you're making out with a woman, if there's any doubt in your mind that she isn't 100% on board, don't do it.
Yeah, Jose, don't do it.
I've told this to Cisco. I'm like, I'm one of those guys that I set like my boundaries straight up. I'm like, would you mind if like we make out or something like I'd rather be like straight out and get rejected than, I guess, like, I don't know, be liable for something in the future.
Right.
Yeah, that's fucking crazy, dude.
I just think, like, and I didn't mean that, by the way, specifically for you, but just like,
specifically for me and all men in
I'm
general.
married, motherfucker. I'm married. Hey, it's like, but walking on eggshells, man. Going into relationships, walking on eggshells. I don't think that's healthy to begin a relationship.
Well,
okay, me personally, I'd rather I think my biggest fear
than hurt me irreversibly, honestly.
Yeah.
Like,
well, that's true. I mean, if you're gonna go, I'm just saying, like, I'm with you. Like, men need to learn to accept no, or not now, or whatever, or not never. Fuck it. You gotta accept it. I don't know where that's being taught, because I wasn't taught that. Like, I don't know who's teaching that, how it's being handed down.
We only just begun speaking about this.
Where it's learned, where guys are learning this shit.
It's learned, like, by, not just by social media, but by TV and movies. Like I said, like me growing up watching Porky's or American Pie or like any of these type of movies. Like, it just seemed like, okay, it seemed cool that these guys.
Yeah, but I've never seen a movie. I mean, even in those movies, I never seen a guy like, hey, fuck, you owe it to me. You know what I'm saying? Like,
no, because it's not the text; it's the subtext. It's the way they treat women. And
it's like when Porky's, when the guy puts his dick in the hole, like, to show it off in the girls' locker room. Like, I'm thinking about it, like, I'm laughing at it.
Aggression. That's a sexual aggression.
I'm laughing at it, and then think about it, like, no, this guy just put his cock in there to show it to a bunch of chicks. Like, what if, like, they're not into it? They weren't. Was unwarranted, unwanted?
Wasn't the gym teacher the one that grabs it, or? What was it?
Yes, she's the one who ID'd it, who like CIS'd it.
Hey, if they didn't want it, whatever, any girl could have went over there and just kicked the shit out of it, right?
Take it as a rule that we do not want to see your dick. Like, honestly, like it's a mal necesario. Like, it's part of the process, and we go with it.
I've never taken it.
Like, nobody wants to see a penis.
I've never taken a dick pic. I've never received
how long have
a dick pic? Oh, good for you.
Huh?
You never received a dick pic? Good for you.
How long what?
How long have you been married, Cisco?
Well, I guess, yeah. I know where you're going. Cell
yeah,
phones.
You do, because you couldn't send pictures that long ago. If you've been married for over 8 years, they didn't have that capability. Just saying. I'm not saying that.
Yeah, like there's not a lot of merit in it.
Yeah,
you didn't have them.
Yeah, but you know what?
I was married in '92. I didn't send a dick pic.
No, I remember motherfuckers used to send Polaroids.
What, in the
Whoa.
mail?
Yes.
Or like carrier pigeon, or like.
I know, in the mail.
Damn.
Men and women.
Going through such lengths.
Never did that
to
either.
Show your erect penis to someone who does not want to see it. Like, you have to buy stamps.
You have to write out the address and zip code.
Yeah.
Send it certified. And it sent certified.
Certified. I gotta sign off for my dick pic.
And also, you have so much time to make to take it back, to repent from what you're doing, thinking about what you're doing, and still you send it. That's fucked up.
But you know what?
With texting is it's so impulsive sometimes.
Yeah.
But you know what, Camila? I've known dudes that were married and did shit like that. And
What?
fucking
Oh, in the comedy world?
sending
No.
dick. No,
What?
in every part of the world, and sending dick pics and shit like that.
And the girls send dick pics that they received. Like, I used to be on a group chat that was like, and you know what? I'm sorry, but that's like what we get to do. If you're gonna send it, like that's.
Yeah.
And not about.
Seems about right. Seems about right and fair.
As men do the same with the nudies.
Okay.
They share them. They start sharing them and putting them all
But
over.
that's not okay, because if you're sending a nude, if a woman sends a nude photo to a guy,
and then I share it with somebody,
and they are sharing it with something, that's a crime, by the way. That's a felony.
Yeah. I'm only saying.
But if somebody sends you an unwarranted dick pic, an unwanted dick pic, a dick pic, because all dick pics are unwanted. Like nobody, I've never heard of a woman.
Every once in a while, it's different, but that's still
But if
again, sexuality is a spectrum.
Yeah, sexuality is a spectrum.
I could even.
But yeah, if they send it without your consent, you are allowed to share it with your friends and their mother if you have access to her.
Oh damn!
Which is, by the way, can I just tell you, don't ever take one of these, okay? I've had this happen from this one guy who managed to get his face in the dick pic by holding the phone. It was like, I'm like, I'm like, why would you do that? Like, first of all, anonymity, you wouldn't rather have that. But second of all,
that's funny.
You think it makes your dick look bigger in comparison to your head? Your head just looks tiny. That's all that's happening.
Your head looks
I've
tiny.
I've seen that variety, yes.
It's very weird. Like,
so this is a common thing, guys sending just fucking dick pics.
Yes. Videos even. I've gotten videos.
I used to think that was like weirdos doing shit like that. Like honestly.
I would say most people that are on dating apps or actively dating right now, like engage in some form of like sexting or like,
because I have friends that did that. They're weird.
Not Christian mingle or like
Jew date.
J date, not Jew date.
J date.
J date.
They have nice circumcised.
Jew date.
Yeah, that's the only guarantee you'll get in J date. I mean,
that's a Mexican dating site. Jew date. You date instead of
Jew date.
Jew date.
You know what would be such a better name for that dating app, though? By the way.
What?
You complete me.
You complete. You complete me.
Come on, Jerry Maguire. You complete me.
I know what that's.
No.
That's
I think that would be such a better name for that app.
That's a missed opportunity. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, dude, but yeah, that's fucking. It's just it's gotta be terrible to be a chick and just dicks popping up on your phone. Like, what the fuck is this?
You know, there's a website that this girl like reviews them.
I'm sure even like on OnlyFans,
but
chicks do that.
But okay, here's a problem with that. Okay, you're dating somebody, they send it to you.
Someone, I never share it. By the way, like that's a different story.
Okay, but there's dudes. But maybe a dude hasn't pissed you off enough to want you to share it. I'm just saying, sometimes breakups or some shit happens. No, you still wouldn't share it. You still wouldn't send it to that girl? You still wouldn't send it to that girl to fucking talk about it?
No.
No, and the guys would.
Guys do it all the time.
Yeah. That's what they have that new law, or not new law, but it's been around, the revenge porn.
Yeah.
I remember that guy from San Diego. He had like a whole website, put your ex-girlfriends on here and you'll pay and get membership and this and that. And like now it's totally flipped, because now the girls are doing it on OnlyFans and like they're selling all their stuff on there.
Yeah.
OnlyFans?
Yeah.
Oh shit. See, I don't know nothing about none of this shit, dude. I don't fucking.
No, like the only nude photos that you're allowed to share are dicks that men send you without your consent.
Yeah. Like from strangers. I've gotten videos of guys masturbating that they've sent me.
Oh yeah, me too. Yeah.
And you're just like, what the fuck? So if that is done to me, like, and if find the photo funny, yeah, I'm gonna laugh about it with my friends because that helps ease my pain. Like, why do you think we went into comedy for a reason?
But how does it?
You do feel vulnerable when you receive a photo of a stranger's genitalia that you.
But these are not text messages. These are like DMs.
Sometimes, yeah. I mean,
sometimes on dating apps, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
DMs. I've also got them though, like through. I've had some weird shit happen on Facebook. And people, I didn't realize my phone number was like up on one of my social medias. It wasn't super obvious or whatever, but like Facebook, the privacy stuff is so like wishy-washy. I can never figure out sometimes.
Yeah.
And for a while, I got some stuff that I really, from numbers I didn't recognize, but like.
Holy shit. That's scary. Yeah. That's fucking scary because people could do a background check on you. Find out where you're at and stuff through your number. That's not.
Or do it now through your IP address.
I go on a date usually because one of my best friends works with a lot of criminals and stuff, and so she had a membership. So I got her login, and it actually, because I matched with a guy once, good looking guy, went out with him once. Something didn't feel right, and I couldn't put my finger on it, and he was like kind of joking about the fact that he was he's like, oh, the name on the dating profile is my middle name, blah, blah, blah. And he was like an actor, whatever. So I did some digging, and it took me a while to figure it out, but on this background check app. And when I figured out his real name, I Googled it, and the first thing that popped up was 2 rape allegations.
Damn.
Holy crap.
So look, I don't have a clean criminal record. Like I've been sober 13 years, but I was a bad kid. Like I would be embarrassed if someone background checked me, but like I'm also not a sexual predator.
Yeah. It's different. It's different having a little DUI or some shit than raping somebody. Fuck, man.
Very different. Like violent crime versus, like stupid shit I did when I was young.
Peeing in public. Yeah, that don't compare.
I did that, but I didn't get caught.
Everybody's done that shit, man. Come on. I gotta pee right here. I gotta pee.
By accident.
I'm gonna go over here behind these bushes real quick. Don't look at me. Don't look at me.
Have you driven back from Reno down the 395 late at night when nowhere's open?
395?
395? What is that?
The freeway.
Going south towards Vegas?
No, like...
You're going around the mountain, right?
Or going west?
No, if you're coming back from like Reno or Tahoe or Mammoth, like...
Going towards Sacramento?
I think you're going around the mountain, right?
I can't believe
it's very windy and
this LA stereotype.
The only things.
What LA stereotype? What?
That people from LA talk about streets and routes and like freeways.
Yeah. Oh well, all we do is drive.
Yeah. Well, 395. No, I mean I've driven from Sacramento to Reno, and I know there's a part where it splits and then goes south to Tahoe. But I don't remember what freeway.
It's sort of if you go down basically it's a.
Oh yeah, you go through Truckee. You go through Truckee and all that. Yeah, that's
It's very windy. There's not many businesses, and a lot of times when I get done in Reno, I'm like, get me the fuck out of here. You know, so after a show at 10:30 at night, but I'm like, I still want to go home. I just so badly want to leave, and I've driven back to LA, and the 395 is faster, but it's like very windy, very dark. There's a few like motels, but they all look like sets for horror films.
Bates Motels.
Yeah, and then there's like a couple gas stations that are usually closed that late. And well, where did this start? Oh, I was just gonna say I've peed all over that road. Like,
Yo, that's gotta be awkward to see this 6'1.5", almost 6'2" woman getting out of her car to go pee somewhere.
Go pop a squat somewhere.
Or coming out from behind something.
Yeah. Well, the best was, I forget who it was, but like I got out and I was standing like so that the traffic couldn't see me behind the car door, and they like it was at night, and they reversed so that the headlights were just like on me.
What?
I was drunk as hell. This is why I don't drink. This is 15 years ago, probably.
Holy shit.
Four bus drove by and they honked and waved, and I just was like, what? Hi. It's not like they could see much in the dark.
Yeah. No, that's crazy.
I've never robbed a bank, but I'm assuming like every time I've like took a piss like out in public and I've gotten away with it, like I'm running to my car, I'm like, oh my God, I feel like I just like robbed a bank, all the adrenaline.
Yeah,
like
bro. Yeah, but when you really gotta pee, like you've been holding it for a while and you run out of there and you go behind a bush or wherever the fuck, you don't even care. Sometimes it's been somewhere and it fucking stinks. And you're like, I don't give a shit, I gotta pee, dude. And you're like, oh. Like,
well, as a guy, you're so lucky. Like, it's so much more difficult for us because we have to take into consideration like any slopes or like.
No, yeah, no, I get it.
Like, there's all kinds of things that can go wrong, and they, with the things like the 405 or the 5 in particular, like I don't necessarily. There's a lot of exits I don't want to get off on to go pee. Like, it's, you know what I mean? Like,
it's not safe.
No, and and the bathrooms oftentimes, not necessarily at those places, but if you do shows out towards like fucking Palmdale, whatever, like
hell no.
Stop at a gas station and you're like, oh my God,
You're running into some skinheads out there.
Yeah. Everyone is scary there. There's like less teeth than people somehow. Oh my God, when you have to pee and there's no gas station it shows you like 45 miles and you're like, can I hold it? It's like the worst feeling in the world.
Dude, and that's a fucked up drive. The 14, like going to, oh no, that's a fucked up.
That's what turns into the 395 is the 14. It's
okay. Yeah, that's a fucked up drive. Oh, hell no, dude. Hell no. Anyways, ladies, I think we're going to wrap this up.
Yeah, I was going to say.
2 hours. We usually go 4.
Fun talking to you guys, though. Thank you for having me.
It's like a guy, right?
We usually go,
about how long he can go.
Listen, we usually go 4 hours.
Had to drop that one too.
But since you guys are females, I don't want you saying that we forced you to stay on here too long. Look at Manchita. Look at Manchita. Manchita's like, you called me a female, motherfucker.
Badass bitches.
No, but thank you guys. Thank you guys for coming.
Yeah, nice meeting you, ladies.
I enjoyed the conversation. It was awesome to meet you guys.
That's what we do. This is what we do, Camilla. We just get on here and just, we have a conversation, hopefully, and we try to get into some real shit, discuss some real shit. And I'm glad that you guys discuss some shit that, it's been men every time. So we've never gotten to this conversation, and it was good.
There were such insightful comments this time then, huh?
It was good but it was good to hear all this, and I hope you guys will come back on again, man, for real.
Jose and Manchita, I hope that we all connect on social media. It was great meeting you guys.
Yeah, you guys see my Twitter handle right there. Feel free to follow. I follow back.
Slotmaster00. Is that the kind of name you want to follow?
That sounds like a little bit rapey, if I'm honest.
Really? No, far from it.
This is my Twitter.
Manchita.
What? Oh, okay.
At Manchita. Yeah.
Little Stain.
I followed you earlier today, so you'll.
Oh, you did? Oh,
yeah.
Perfect. So mine is at Camilla Cleese.
Manchita used to have Little Stain on her profile.
I used to have a little stain.
Mean?
Little stain.
It does?
Yeah.
Little stain?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Like, is there a manchita on your sheets? There's a little stain on your sheets.
Yeah.
I bet they don't. Okay, let's end this before it gets ugly.
Yeah. Let's wrap it up. Thank you for having me, Cisco.
No, thank you. I hope you come back, Manchita. Maybe I want to have you back on when it's just guys. Because some of these guys need a fucking...
sit me down to talk with Talavera. That gets it.
Oh!
Can I come to you?
You guys can have a smoke-a-thon. Who can smoke the most cigarettes?
I did not smoke one cigarette.
I noticed that. I noticed.
This entire...
But Talavera...
I almost did at one point.
You almost did?
And, well, I was getting a little heated. Like, not at you guys, but just the subject matter is...
Yeah, no,
it's not easy shit to talk about sometimes, But I appreciate, like, also you guys' perspective, and, like, it's cool to hear a guy say, oh my God, I didn't even realize that. Like, it's great that hopefully people listening too, like, if they, there's more light shed on these issues, because there's not enough, certainly.
Yeah, no. But it's good to talk about it, whether small scale, grand scale, it starts somewhere. And, I'm sure other people are talking about it too, but hopefully it spreads and more people talk about it instead of like, my thing is just because we do comedy doesn't mean that we're fucking like, people think we're just being funny 24/7. And I like to show that no, we're not, like we can talk about some other shit too, some more important shit without trying to make fun of it or what's funny in that. There's something funny there, like it's not like that 24/7.
But I think our brains are programmed to ask questions and to make logical arguments. Like even if we know we're wrong, like it's a little bit like a lawyer or something, half of my stand-up is me like, it takes a certain kind of reasoning to put jokes together. I'm not explaining it well, but I'm sure you guys at least.
No, I got you.
Yeah.
So Manchita, I hope you come back on, man, for real.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
It was great meeting you, Camila.
So great meeting you, and have a wonderful night.
You too.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.